Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? Kind of reminds me of the old days, Gordon. Battling technology. The last two episodes of the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, we actually had a guest on who lives in freaking Guadalcanal as a battlefield tourist. And our live stream started freezing up. And disk usage is at 100%. YouTube freezes up. I had to kill the stream just so we can get the quality audio because that's where everything comes in at. And so I've been minimizing everything on that machine. I have an SSD hard drive on the way. But I used to just control that computer remotely from my main workstation. But I found that remote login streamer uses like 40%. So now I got extra keyboards, mouse. I got to slide over the other side and start the show because I still don't have an intern or a producer. But hopefully the YouTube stream will work fine. I don't know what the resources are at right now, but how are you doing, friend?
I'm doing all right, but just in, to protect against nuclear fallout, Dr. Fauci recommends wearing 3 masks. Too soon?
No, I'm just.
No.
I was going to make an asbestos joke. Duck and
Oh, you
cover.
know, I'm actually surrounded by asbestos in the wild out here, right?
Joining us once again, you know him from TikTok as Social Outcast. Adam is with us once again from the Ozarks. Adam, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Good. Gordon, if you could do what we did last time, just adjust your microphone just a little bit because Adam doesn't have a mixing board in front of him, so he has no real way to adjust his microphone. That way you guys are both level. That would be fantastic.
Down or up?
Perfect right there, I think.
All right. Until I get loud.
Yeah, see, we should have done that before the show because here we are like 2 minutes in and I wasn't recording, so now I got to go record.
You jammed right into it. There was no prep or anything.
I got to go. Well, I'm fighting the biological clock of my daughter. We're at a ceasefire in tonight's family argument. We were fighting up just until before Biden went on to give his State of the Union address. We do have a ceasefire here in the House. Homework gate number 55,438 is at a pause right now. Both sides, all three sides, we're kind of back into our own little border states here. We have peace right now. And so because we don't know that the tensions are so high, the ceasefire might end at any moment. She may go nuclear. We don't know. So we're just trying to, much like Biden is now, trying to rush to get things out, put it on record, and then scurry back into his basement, if you know what I mean.
Hey, real quick, remember the whole Snake Island thing and the Russia?
Good news, bad news on that.
Yes.
I think it's more good news than bad news.
Yeah, I do too.
Adam, if you heard about the whole Snake Island thing, right? In Ukraine?
Yes. Yeah.
So for those of you who live under a rock who don't know what we're talking about, I got a damn gnat flying around here. When Ukraine was
It's
first,
his Tourette's kicking in.
when Ukraine was first, this whole nonsense started off. The second day or the first day, we heard Ukraine is giving out their first version of their Medal of Honor to 13 Marines who were stationed on Snake Island. Then we all heard the audio clip of the Russian warship threatening to bomb them if they didn't disarm them, replying most wonderfully, dear Russian battleship, go fuck yourself. And then we were told they all died. The truth is that really did happen. They did take a bombing, but they weren't dead. The reason Ukraine claimed they were dead is they lost communication. Turns out after the Russian bombed the shit out of the island, they went and basically captured all 13 of them and took them down to I always forget the area of Ukraine that they stole like 14 years ago or 8 years ago.
Crimea.
Yeah, they took them down to Crimea, and since Russia has released photos to the Ukraine Navy proving that they're still alive, and so the Ukraine Navy has released that they did in fact not die. So great news all the way around. They still told them to go fuck themselves, and they didn't die. They were just captured. So that's good news for their families.
I'm going to predict the Time Man of the Year.
Oh, well, it depends.
If he survives.
Well, I was going to say it depends on what side of the aisle the editor of Time Magazine's on during that time. You know what I mean? depending on which way the wind's blowing politically, they always want to take the chance of being on the right side of history. So they may, go a different direction on that. But yes, one would argue that, why is it like a one fly?
Told you it's Tourette's.
The crazy
Tripping out, aren't you?
Well, the other crazy thing is we've seen TikToks. Oh, Generation X don't know what it's like growing up being on the edge of nuclear meltdowns. We don't know what it's like to be in a Cold War. It's like, really?
Dum-dum, dum-dum, dum-dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked and
See, dear millennials, where you're growing up in the threat of a Cold War and a nuclear meltdown, you get all the facts in true color in real time on social media. Our generation had it whitewashed, painted over in a Disney-esque cartoon that simply had us duck and cover underneath our desk in nuclear fallout drills, as if that quarter-inch piece of plywood in that little metal basket above your head with the acoustic ceiling above your head, it was going to protect you from nuclear fallout.
The only part they didn't teach us in school was the kiss your ass goodbye part.
Yeah, it was just duck and cover and everything would be cool.
Yeah, like that single pane glass window in the corner of the room was going to do anything.
Well,
exactly. But I will argue, I know I've seen on TikTok, a lot of people say, yeah, we know we've dealt with it with Gen X. Yeah.
But we also
we got
didn't have
a little
it.
different perspective these days,
Well,
and we see it live action.
I was going to say, same thing we just said. Now, we're also getting in real-time color live events. And, that's the weird thing, right? So we've been at war for the last 20 years over in Saudi, over in the Middle East, all the areas over there.
Said Saudi Arabia.
I about said Saudi Arabia. But over there, and it's all desert area. You see the battle footage, and, it's kind of hard to relate to. Because,
Bad guys are in pajamas.
Well, it's just hard to relate to because that's not the city in which we live in, and we're watching that footage, even if it's from a year ago, the whole area just like, it's not relatable. But when you see this footage coming out of Ukraine, and you're seeing like 2018 Toyotas blown up, and you're seeing buildings that look like downtown Chicago or downtown New York, you're like, oh, yeah, this is truly happening. And it's easier for us in the West to relate to because it looks familiar. It's more relatable because that is what our, as bad as it may sound, but that's kind of what our world looks like. Whereas when we're seeing pictures of, small little villages in the desert living out of adobe huts and stuff like that, it's just kind of harder to relate to. And it almost seems old-fashioned even though it's happening now. Well,
a couple of things. One, knowing that it's the biggest invasion in Europe since World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Two, just watching, especially today, a lot of civilians went down. It is very disturbing and upsetting to watch, and can relate and have that empathy for them. It's almost like, if not to dumb it down, because it's just a bigger version of this, it's like literally watching some poor kid get pummeled on the verge of dying by an adult, knowing we can do something, but we can't do something because we've also been threatened. It's like, what do you do? It's the most helpless feeling, right?
Yeah, and then
we could go in there. That convoy 40 miles
two
long.
Predator drones is all they need.
Or a few A-10 Warthogs.
Yeah,
and like an AC-30, like.
Yeah, we just mothballed a couple of Warthogs and some F-16s in the desert. I was watching a guy who was on Tucker the other night, and he said before this all happened, we were getting ready to mothball some Air Force equipment. And he actually presented, at least he claimed in this interview, to the government, hey, instead of mothballing this, why don't we kind of head this over that way? Because, Gordon and I have been talking about this for months. We don't bring it up on the show, but there's been a lot of text messages up before this invasion actually took off because we've been keeping an eye on dude, have you been seeing what's going on in Ukraine? So none of this was a surprise to us. And I think we even went back a few episodes ago, and I even said, what's confusing is our media saying this invasion is going to happen, Biden saying this invasion is going to happen, but then when you watch media from across, oh, we don't know why the American Pentagon's so convinced that this is not going to happen, and they showing Ukraine, oh, no, it's fine over here, nothing's going to happen. It's like, For once, we got something way, way right, and everyone else refused to believe.
Yeah,
it.
but that whole WMD thing kind of left a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Bay of
we cried
Pigs.
wolf, went in, and lo and behold, there was no nukes in Iraq.
And the Bay of Pigs turns out was false. That's how we basically kicked off,
So we kind of set a precedent. Our alphabet agency, one of them, set a precedent. And yeah, and it's the scary thing is just watching everything. And just people were like, even a month ago, it's like, why are you paying attention to this? It's like, so I could see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm not surprised. And what was amazing is all the Ukrainian citizens who were surprised by this. You know, because they were spun. You know, and hey, and I know it was mainly done to keep the temperature down and maybe
Keep the
prevent it
panic.
from happening.
But
But we got, you know, Mad Vlad over there, who I think is either A, lost his mind, or B, is, you know,
world's
hey,
case of chlamydia, brain rot.
something. I was watching the guy from Ukraine that speaks at the UN, and he said something kind of interesting yesterday. And it's, hey, I hate beating this thing, but it is fresh. He said, hey, if Putin wants to kill himself, he don't need to use nukes. He needs to just do it in a bunker like that guy in World War II did.
No, he said like the
I.e.
guy in
Hitler.
1944 did, but yeah.
Like, yes. So,
Well, Adam, wouldn't you would think now? Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but you're kind of like watching this, and if you've been up to date on it, like Gordon and I have been up before this happened, it's like, and you're seeing, you going back and you think about the Ukraine trying to keep their people at panic, and now you're seeing them handing out AK-47s and teach them how to make. It's so funny. The media's like showing them. They're making Molotov cocktails. No,
the
they're
sticky
making
ones too.
I was gonna say no. They're making portable napalm. Once you add that styrofoam, that's now napalm. But if they would have maybe taken this a little more seriously, they could have deployed all these things and taken these measures a couple more weeks and at least be a little ahead of the game.
Very
Yeah.
true. But at the same time, it's no different than a school bully. 90% of the time, he's going to talk a lot of shit. Very rarely is he going to do something. And while, yes, it should have been forced Deaton to come, I honestly don't think that they thought he would do it.
Yeah, I mean,
He
But-
zigged.
but I want to say, yeah, I can see that. But once again, we don't learn from history. We're bound to repeat it. He was serious when he did it to Georgia. He was serious when he did it to Crimea. So it's not like he doesn't have a history. During the Bush administration, the Obama administration, he took off time from the crazy orange man because he didn't want to deal with him. And here we are. It's like,
And even touching base on that, part of me, I want to say that if he was in office, it would be different.
part of me
but-
says it won't. I'm almost wondering if it'd
Yeah.
be worse.
Yeah, very much, because then it would have just kind of thwarted everybody into it, and it would have been World War III right off the bat.
Yeah, I really don't know how much. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't know how much better it would have been with him at the helm, but I think when he left, so did a lot of his people, including the people that ran some of these higher positions in, the Pentagon. And so
Yeah.
maybe his administration as a whole would have kind of tried to calm him down a little bit, but maybe handled it a little bit more
Well-
different. I don't know.
Well, not only that, if you look at the Orange Man and who we have now, I mean, realistically, who we have now is a joke in that aspect. He's not threatening in the least bit. He could tell you he was going to bomb you tomorrow, and you would laugh at him because he's a joke. At least that's the way he seems. Where the other guy is that guy. If he tells you he's going to do it, he's going to do it. You know what I mean?
And what's scary to me is, okay, we've all kind of accepted the fact that Biden is kind of feeble and makes missteps. And
Well,
so,
and yeah.
and so when he calls Kamala Harris the president once, maybe twice, you're like, okay, that's a feeble guy. But when his wife does it today, you're like, is there something we don't know that maybe they keep forgetting the rules when they go on camera? I mean, is she truly, the one in charge? Because not only has he done it twice, now his wife just did it when they introduced, apparently in the Biden household, the phrase vice, which is weird because he had the title of vice president for years. So you figure they wouldn't keep tripping up on saying Vice President Kamala Harris. Why do they keep dropping the vice whenever anyone from his family presents her? I don't get it.
No, it's insane.
It'd be different if that man was never vice president, but you figure that, if it was opposite way and he was the vice president, he would accidentally call her the vice president. But You figure he would be used to appending that title before president. So to me, it's like, oh, come on. I mean, just that little stuff just kind of goes to show. I've been shuffling around my house last couple days. Like, we got to recall this guy. We got to recall his whole administration. What the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah.
Well,
And
I'm
not
hoping
even.
with our administration, but I'm hoping it sounds like there may be a chance that the citizens and maybe even the military of Russia are starting to.
That's our only true hope.
Yeah, they need to go in and they need to do a coup d'état.
Just put a bullet in his head and be done with it.
Yep.
That's our only true hope of an
Peaceful
outcome that we're
resolution?
the closest thing to a preferable outcome would be someone just offing him.
Yeah,
I don't know what else there is to do.
Yeah.
Well, even then, who's behind him that might not make it worse?
Well, that's why I said his whole administration. He needs to go. Harris needs to go.
Yeah.
The whole administration needs to go. I don't know. It's fucking crazy. Let's lighten the mood up a little bit. Adam,
Yes, please.
you're a fisherman.
Yes, sir.
You're familiar with my fishing exploits. You know that on the worst day, I can catch a fish for 4 if I'm worm flipping. They may not be big, but I can catch them. Do you believe in cursed equipment?
Yes, I very much do.
So for those of y'all who follow my YouTube channel, you know that when I got my kayak, I bought off a buddy of mine, and I just started buying some cheap equipment. Really didn't know much. I got a nice Abu Garcia spinning rod for my birthday, and then I'm getting a bait caster, not really realizing the difference. So for the longest time, I had been using a spinning rod with my bait casters, and then for my birthday, I got a Cast King bait caster rod. Anyhow, this weekend we went to go trade the Volkswagen in because the lease was up. That's a fun thing to do while the world's falling apart. And lo and behold, Volkswagen had absolutely no car. They had more salesmen on the floor than they had new cars on the lot.
I'm thinking, how are these salesmen even getting paid?
And it's like they had like a Toyota Highlander. They wanted like used one with 60,000 miles. They wanted 40 grand for, and this, that, and the other thing. And so the salesman was quick to say, "Hey, here's your payoff. Why don't you just buy it out, refinance at this? You'll cut your car payment in half, and then 6 months from now, you can go to any lot with hoping, but maybe by then they have stock, and you can trade your car. And then, oh, by the way, we're concerned." Two things. One, that ship that's floating around in the Atlantic that caught on fire that's full of Volkswagens and Audi. Luckily, only 2 of those belong to the Volkswagen dealership in Fort Myers. But apparently, Volkswagen gets a lot of their parts from some manufacturing plants in Ukraine. And so not only are they worried about chip shortages, now they're going to not have access to some of these parts that are probably poured in foundries. I'm sure they're not high-tech parts, but parts nonetheless. And so Volkswagen's going to be dealing with a more shortage. So anyhow, we dealt with all that. And then back to the fishing thing, we were down the street from Dick's Sporting Goods, and which is 30 minutes closer than the nearest Bass Pro. So we swung in,
Formerly known as Galleons, by the way.
which we used to work at. And so Carrie got it. Carrie still had, she had her Guggen bait caster, and she still had a bait caster on a I always want to call them swivel, but anyhow, bait caster on the wrong pole. So she got a new Guggen pole, and I didn't want to drop a bunch of money in a pole. And I found this pole. Have you ever heard of Defy?
Yes.
What is your opinion of Defy?
Some
They're-
of their stuff is good, but
Let
for the most part, it's garbage.
It's a $59 rod, so I'm not expecting the world's most greatest thing, but I have been fishing with $39 rod by Barkley, who make decent stuff.
You'd have been better off getting a lose.
What's that?
I said you'd have been better off getting a lose because you could have got a complete setup for $80, and the rod would have been 100 times better, and you had a backup reel that worked.
So I get this rod, and I go out Saturday
He
night.
just moves on.
Well, no, it's kind of leading up to my point. So I buy this Defy, medium heavy, 7 foot, 1 inch long, model 13 for some reason. That's a great number to choose. So I go out Saturday night. It's 5 or whatever. I go out. I start worm flipping this thing. I don't get any hits. I don't even get nothing. So I switch back to my Cast King and I start throwing crankbaits. And I probably hook up 6 or 7 fish on a crankbait, and all 6 or 7 of them came off. How I lose 6 fish off a treble hook, 2 treble hooks on crankbaits on my old rod, my Cast King, So I'm getting angry. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not catching anything on the worm, on the Defy rod. All 6 of the 5 on the crankbait, on the Cast King I lose. So I'm heading back to the lake. It's getting dark. There's a lady who always fish off the dock. I see her pulling and pulling and pulling. She looks like she's trying to land a marlin, but she's clearly snagged. And so I said, hey, are you snagged? And she said, yeah. No good deed goes unpunished. I said, well, hey, let me see your rod. I'll paddle out the opposite direction, because when you're snagged, you want to go the opposite direction and get your ship free, right? Mm-hmm. So I take it out there. I paddle the other direction. I'm pulling. Snap.
Oh,
Break her fucking rod. Break her rod. Killed the fly. Hook comes right out of the snag. So now it's not snagged anymore, but the tip of her rod's broken off. So I paddle over there. Hey, let me give you my phone number. Let me replace your rod. No, I got plenty of them in there. It's not a big deal. No, I need to replace your rod. No, I got plenty of them. She refuses, but I am going to take over one of my rods that I don't use because it's a swivel rod and not a baitcaster rod. But anyhow, so I'm pissed. I turn around. I start throwing a topwater revolver by Guggen on my Cast King. Snag a bass. Reeling it in. Gets off. Motherfucker. So now I've lost 5 on a crankbait and 1 on a topwater. All of them with treble hooks. Cast in again. This is the most topwater action I've seen all winter. They're finally starting to hit on top. They're just having a feeding frenzy. Throw it in again. Get the fish. Reel it in. He comes off. Said, the hell with it. It's dark now. Go home. Carrie and I go out the next day. This is her first day fishing with her second Guggen rod. She has a Guggen Twitch and a Guggen Go-To. She's fishing weightless worm. She's casting, reeling them in. Got a bass, yay! I'm flipping my Defy 13. Why you put 13 in a fucking fishing rod? Not getting nothing. I'm switching the crankbait. I get one on. It comes off. She's pulling in another one. I cut off my weight. I'm going worm, weightless, same bait, same setup. Stupid fucking rod. Throwing it. I'm out there for 5 hours.
So you got the
get
Schlepp rock
shit.
storm cloud over your head at this point?
Pulling one fish on a crankbait with my Cast King. Carrie catches 13 bass that day. So I went out the night before, lost 7. Went out the following day. She pulled in 13 and I pulled in 1. I'm telling you, this fucking fishing rod has brought nothing but bad juju to my kayak. And I'm going to give it one more day and the thing's got to go. I'm going to burn it in effigy.
I wouldn't say it was more the rod as the Santeria shit you were messing with last time.
No,
Probably
because the
catching up.
Santeria stuff got me good. I caught like a 2.5 pound fish on that water spot. And
Well, you know, there's the good side, and then there's probably the back end of that whole deal.
I've been catching quite a good few amount of fish. Ever since that happened, I was pulling in 5, 12, 8 a day. Now it's like I get
Now it's
skunked.
time to pay up, sucker.
I guess so. I'm gonna give it one. The rod cast, all right. It's a little stiff. I don't. For some reason, they put the hook ring. You know how you put your hook when you're done? It's usually above the reel. It's below the reel. And when I saw it at the store, I'm like, well, that might work out because there's been times where on a windy day you'll cast and your braid will hit that line and it'll cause a midair stop. So I'm like, well, maybe that's fine. No, because when you cast, it's rubbing into the palm of your hand. So one more day, and then I'm gonna shine it back up, find my receipt, and return it.
Let me ask you this: because the rod's different, could have stuff to do with it. When you're setting the hook, when you're catching these bass, are you setting hard like usual, or
Well, that's my whole point.
Rod?
That's my whole point. I haven't even gotten a hit on this thing. The fish that I got off were on my Cast King rod with the bait caster. Since this fucking thing has been in my boat, no fish has even touched the worm. And I'm fishing the same color worm, same hook, same line, same reel Carrie has, but she's got her Guggen pole, pulling them in.
Hey,
They're
have
not
you thought
even-
of maybe testing that theory and sliding that pole onto her kayak?
I asked her if she wanted to use it in the middle of her live stream on TikTok where she has 100 people in there making fun of me because I'm pissed off and screaming in the background. No, I don't want that pole. She don't want it nowhere near her boat.
What's funny? You do that, she's gonna catch bigger fish than you catch them more.
If I gave it to her and she landed a 6-pounder, I could at least say, good, the thing's not cursed. I can keep it in my boat. But like I said, I'm not even getting bites on it. It's the craziest thing. It's like I have a big giant neon sign on my boat and it's scaring away all the fish. They're not even hitting my worm. I tried regular worms. I tried flukes. I tried bandito bugs. I was changing up. Fucking nothing. Meanwhile, number 8. Oh, can you come help me? I swallowed the hook. I'm over there getting number 9. Oh, this one swallowed the hook. Go in there, tying hooks on. Me, cast, nothing, cast. Only good thing is I'm burning calories and weakening up my rotator cuff all day long. And I'm just like, God help me. What the fuck? I'm just like, wind's blowing, I'm getting mad. I'm like, ugh. You know, the whole a bad day of fishing is better than a good day of work is fine if you're one of these cats who fish once a month. But when you're somebody out there 4 days a week, no. A bad day of fishing is I should have fucking stayed home and watched YouTube.
Yes, I agree with that.
So
But-
frustrating.
I mean, all honesty, your best bet: take a treble hook, prick your finger, wipe some blood on it. Your sacrifice. Try it again.
Yeah, might as well. I was hoping to go out tonight, but that fell through. But
Well, being that I live in a desert, I can't, relate. I'm sure you've probably done fishing out this way, haven't you?
Yes. Actually, when I was younger, I used to fish Sunset Park before it started.
I wouldn't go to Sunset Park these days, but yes, I get it.
I'm talking back in the 80s.
Oh yeah, back in the '80s. Yeah, you may want to go strapped.
you know, back
But,
when society was starting to lose their decorum, not after it's been lost and buried and kicked in the dirt. We have absolutely no effing decorum at all. But you're telling me before the show that like you're thinking tomorrow might be the first time all winter you get a worm in the water.
Yeah, it will be. We're gonna head out probably about 9:30 tomorrow and see what we could do. Like the ice is thawed out. I mean, there's big chunks in the middle, but as far as where the fish will come up to the warm water, it'd be a killing spree tomorrow.
But with all the prostitution and the ice houses, you're not into the whole ice fishing? You know, we hear about the prostitution in the ice shanties out on the lakes. You're not into that?
I pay too much for my fishing gear. I couldn't afford a nice prostitute if I tried.
Not only that, you won't want her to steal it. It's bad enough when
Right.
they steal your wallet and your pants when they take all your fishing gear, too. Like, fuck. I gotta wait for another mystery tackle box to come. Oh, hashtag van life. I'm starting to see these cats in real life. I'm sure you see them a bit out there in Vegas, don't you, Gordon?
Yes, you do. A lot of them have these Mercedes Transit vans,
Or Sprinter vans.
4x4.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mercedes Sprinter, Ford Transit, and then whatever fucking Dodge's version is. But you definitely see a lot of the Mercedes. So I priced one of those, by the way.
70 grand.
Better go up.
Yeah, well, now
A
that is.
Mercedes with a 4x4, because if you're going to do that out here, you might as well get four-wheel drive, so you can really get out there and boondock. You're 100 plus.
Well, that's the high-end van life. A lot of these cats are just buying empty fleet vans and building, waterbed bases in there and all that. But
Look at and basically driving around a kidnapper.
and that shit's fine if you're 18, 19,
Yeah.
20, 25. But when you're
You're in 40s and you get out a van like that, you only get some weird looks.
you're not a hashtag van life, and you're borderline homeless.
Well,
Oh,
Well, it's kind of true, but here's the thing: we've all known the guy who lives on a boat, right?
no.
Well, I live in Florida, and every once in a while,
I know some people live in the fucking park right down the street, though.
well, you'll meet these guys who live on the boat, and it sounds
former van
romantic.
lifers.
And much like the van lifers, it sounds romantic, and it's fun for a weekend or two, but you're living in an environment that was designed for casual use. Living in a van or in a boat, unless it's a freaking yacht, the showers, the shower heads, the toilets, the sinks, the sink knobs, it is like living in the world's cheapest single white trailer. It's the same quality stuff. It wears out. Once again, these are recreational vehicle intended to be, not flushing 20 times a day and just living in them. And after a while, sleeping on a 4-inch foam mattress can't be good for you. I mean, when we go out using a dad's camper, his toy hauler, just one night on those travel mattresses just suck. Unless you're dropping an inordinate amount of money. I don't know. To me, it seems like the romanticism of living in a van or even a high-end camper full time would get real fucking old real quick.
Well,
Go ahead.
go ahead on that.
No,
I'll
go
touch
ahead.
on you.
Go ahead. I'm actually still working on my thoughts. So,
So, like with Mystic Custom Cycles, I traveled for 3 years with a hot bike tour. I lived out of a temporary toy hauler where when you walked in the camper, to the right-hand side was my living quarters, my shower, my bathroom, everything was there. I put up a retaining wall, and the last 30 feet of it, I could put into a shop space because I was taking the bikes with me. If you do it right, it can be very economical, but you have to do some removal. Like you couldn't just go buy an Airstream and live it in permanently. That would hurt. But it is possible, and it is pretty easy to be. Like I had a queen size bed and 56 flat screen on the wall. Can't ask for more than that.
And what age were you again? Your connection's not that great. It's dropping out. Hopefully it'll get better. If not, we may end it a little sooner, and hopefully it comes back. So how old were you at the time?
This was 10 years ago. Not even.
Oh wow.
2015 was the last year that I toured.
Yeah, well, see, once again, that's on tour, though. You have places to be. You got things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you woke up and you're in a camper, and your
Well,
goal is to drive to this park and then drive to that park and maybe shoot a couple of TikToks and some Instagrams. You're not on tour showing off product and participating in something, really.
Well, true, but at the same time, like I'm sure I could appeal to you otherwise. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how badass would it be for you to load up your kayak and go fish every fucking state that you can reach? And just, you know what I mean? It's the same type of.
I can see where you're coming from because, and this is what I was kind of working on a little earlier. I think the hardest core of the van life for types is your ski bums.
Yeah.
Because when I was living up in Big Sky in the 90s, there were people who were proud that they're living in a wall tent and it's fucking 0 degrees outside.
Moltons cost like $1,000. That shit ain't cheap. But once again,
Yeah.
these cats are 20, 30.
Yep.
These aren't 45-year-old dudes.
I don't care. 2030, I ain't living in a fucking wall tent, you know? I want some heat. I want some running water because we've been there as
Yeah.
children. You know, we've been cold before.
And maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because we spent a substantial amount of time in trailers in places like that.
I'm not even talking about trailer. I'm talking about the 100-year-old farmhouse.
Well, the farmhouse, the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
There is a cuter adjective for it, a shack. But, maybe
Shanty.
because we lived in
Awful.
environments where you don't have running water and you're bathing in a river and shitting in an outhouse. Maybe.
This cabin, its structure was so bad it bowed.
Yeah, as a kid,
Bowed up to one side. It had snakes in the ceiling. The walls and ceilings were all paneling.
yeah,
The old 70s
old
wood
Irish
paneling.
paneling.
Yep, the old Irish paneling. The bathroom was about 20 yards away, filled with spiders.
So maybe that environment kind of
Yeah.
just wore that out of me at a young age, and now I prefer to have my square footage, a comfortable couch, and some air conditioning. But I don't know. Carrie follows a girl on TikTok she actually knows. She used to live down here. Woman's got a shitload ton of following. And she just sold all her stuff. Hashtag van life. First day, blew a tire. Second day, blew like her freaking alternate. Because, she just quickly sold everything. No planning. Didn't build the van. Just, I'm going to do it all on the fly. It's like, to me, it doesn't sound fun. Especially if you're buying old used equipment. And,
Yes.
And you've loaded up everything you have, sold everything you have, and you're, okay, 47, hashtag van life.
What I've actually been considering, speaking of this, like I'm pseudo retiring for what I'm doing. Like my daughter, she comes back
very
from
good.
college next year,
Nice.
and she's going to take over the fabrication side of it. She's been doing it for 10 years before she went to school. When she gets back, she'll be ready. I actually want to convert my work trailer into boat storage, so I can load up like a 14-foot John boat that's been converted into a bass boat, and just take off for weeks at a time and go fish and literally live the camper life.
Yes, Mom, we did have good times in that cabin, but you have to admit it was hot. And some
Oh, is she watching?
Yeah, and some indoor plumbing would have been nice. But
Well, let's go back to the old saying that you're seeing a lot lately, and it's hard times create strong men.
oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And I would not change those hard times, and because be quite honest, we didn't know any better,
No, of course not.
and I wouldn't change that for the world because I there's some soft fucking people on my in-laws side.
Oh,
that
actually,
I'm like, holy cow, you've never had it fucking difficult in your life. You're freaking out over this. Jesus, grab some perspective, dude. You're from Chicago? I thought you were supposed to be tough. Y'all just bluster.
actually, there's some science behind that now. I was saving this for later, but I've seen this story a few places, and I've actually seen some Gen Zers badmouth this guy, calling him some army dude. I'll just read this story. Rio Grande Valley, Texas. A release from the Pentagon official states that Gen Z's sedentary lifestyle is leaving them more prone to injuries in military boot camp.
That makes sense.
I'm going to skip down. Quote, they're also, okay, boomer, Nintendo. No one plays Nintendo. The Nintendo generation soldier skeleton is not tough enough. It has not been toughened by activity prior to arrival. So some of them are breaking more easily. So basically,
You got old Private Jelly Bones over there.
what they're finding out is, these kids are, from the time they're infants to now, they're coddled. They're inside. They're not out having the rough and tumble life that we did. They're not jumping out of haylofts. They're not jumping off of roofs. They're not out there playing guns. They're not falling off skateboards as much. They're not jumping out of trees, pretending to be paratroopers, rolling on the ground, twisting their ankles, banging their shins on their bear trap bike pedals. It's so all that shit that we went through, your bones get thicker when they heal.
Yeah.
When you sprain your leg or crack your, you see those crazy martial artists kicking bamboo trees with their shins to make their bones thicker.
And the resistance of your body weight against whatever you're doing is actually one of the biggest benefits of it.
But what they're discovering is their basic training hasn't gotten any tougher. If not, it's gotten weaker. But they're finding that people are suffering more bone breakage and ankle sprains and sprained hands doing the same exact boot camp procedure that they've been doing for years.
It's arguably a little softer.
Yeah, and so they can look at the data, back in 2010, X amount of, boots got sprained an ankle on this, and now it's tripled. So they're actually kind of seeing through their boot camp that more and more people are actually suffering broken bones from doing the same stuff that prior generations have been doing, and they're truly saying their frames are weaker due to lack of rough and tumble activity as children.
Yeah, I've got to correct my Jelly Bones comment. It's more like Balsa Bones.
There you go.
Well, and I gotta go back to what your brother was saying. Like, hard times breed hard men. To be honest with you, like, our generation was the last of the hard ones, and our generation also is the one who kind of created the soft ones in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But
they're the
at
parents.
the same time, yeah.
Okay,
like,
this is where I could toot my horn, even though we've tried to have kids and we never were able to. Thank God I'm not a party to that.
Yeah, but we know we know the people who let their kids call them by their first name and all that stuff. But yeah,
This is my friend.
but yeah, it's and we're kind of dealing with that here. I was talking earlier about the ceasefire in my house tonight from the homework debacle, but it's like it's just a constant battle.
Yeah. Well, I see Gen Z as the new age boomers. To be honest, that's all they are, is new age boomers. And
Well, I
they're gonna
tell you
create
what, I think you're right, because one thing that is going on, at least in the Vegas Valley, and it may be across the country, is fights are through the roof at schools right now. They're not just motherfucking each other in social media. They're swinging, So they may actually toughen up a little bit. At least the kids, and maybe this is post Gen Z. Who knows what the next one's called? But maybe it's Generation Knuckles. Who knows?
No bullshit. Today I was out front talking with my buddy Tim that I'm going to go fishing with. And I'm watching these kids from grade school come down. Now, the kid on the corner constantly gets picked on by his older brother. I see it all day when I'm out there stalking. And this other kid comes up to him and he's talking crap to him. And the little kid just stands there. The other kid's like twice his size. And the kid, like, he didn't back down. He didn't anything. But the older kid was scared of the little kid because he didn't back down. It just, like, showed the generational gap, the difference between, like, solidarity versus weakness. It was actually pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah. No, I agree. That would be refreshing, I guess, is the word for it.
Well, I guess the first sign that we had a problem is when the NFL came out with their Play 60 campaign. When you got to get NFL superstars to try to convince kids to spend at least, at bare minimum, 60 minutes outside doing something.
Right.
It's like that was the indicator, because on the other hand, our parents are always like, where the hell are you? The street lights came on, you're not home, you gotta be home. So I remember we grew up on a defunct Air Force base. School was out, our parents were working. We would go out and run the neighborhood, like literally skate the neighborhood, ride bikes.
Yeah, there was a whole group of like 13, 14 of us.
Yeah, and we would just
Oh, yeah.
be gone, raiding. Oh, thirsty, go crack that guy's spigot open on the side of his house and
Yeah.
get a hit of water, and maybe come home 4 hours later for a hot dog or two and go
I
back
tell
out.
you. And there's a difference too, because back then all 13, 14 people were skating as fast as they could. You watch kids now, and they're walking their boards down the fucking sidewalk.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude.
Well, that's why and it's so dumb because the young cats who do skate are so looking for their call out a poser moment that they make fun of people who carry their skateboard by the front truck. They call that the mall carry because real skaters don't carry it by the. That's the most easiest way to carry a skateboard.
That's the weapon carry.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, so you have to appropriately put your skateboard at a 35-degree angle. Put your hand in the center of the deck with your palm towards the base and your fingers wrapped around, gently holding the grip tape in order to be a real skateboarder.
No, kid. The proper way to carry that is it on the ground and your feet on top of it.
Yep, unless there's
Right.
a water puddle or you're waiting in line to get a drink at McDonald's.
Oh, we went through some puddles too. Remember that Kroger's?
Yeah.
It would rain and we just sail through there. Of course, our bearings were shot after that, but
Yeah, we didn't
a
have
little
to
bit of lube. You're good to go.
So Adam texted me yesterday. He's like, "Hey, you busy?" I was like, "I just got done running 3 miles and doing 30 burpees with a 18-pound weighted vest on because another Instagram virtual race came across my timeline, and this one didn't cost anything but $5 for the shipping." And so I did that yesterday. And talking about, physical fitness and all that stuff, it's like, feel free to do something to kick your ass. Running 3 miles for me is nothing. But just adding 18 pounds and then doing 10 burpees between every mile. And I just posted the YouTube video. So if you guys want to see an honest video of me getting my ass kicked, just that added weight, and you don't have to do anything crazy. Like I was talking in the video, it's just the reason I do those things is I want to suffer a little bit and I want to challenge myself and kick my own ass. And I think maybe if some of these younger cats would do that or be allowed to do that, let's be honest, a lot of the stuff that we ridicule them for, they have no control over. They weren't allowed to play dodgeball in school and they could only play flag football or tag football. And, all the stuff that boys do to be boys have been banned in school for so long. So we can't blame them too much. It's just a world that the cats who are in charge
But we
enforce
can
on.
actually, but because it's not so much what they did in school, because yes, schools always had restrictions. Because even when we were in school, somebody had to made the mistakes before us to give us the rules we had.
Mhm.
But they have a whole other life, with 75% of it out of school. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
but not only is it school, but they go home from school and they watch Nickelodeon, they watch Disney Channel. It's the same message, and
And
then
they don't have what we had.
and
in
they go
Hamilton.
online and it's the same message, and so they're just getting it nonstop. I mean, yes, we got in trouble, but I don't remember anybody in my school getting expelled for biting their Pop-Tart into a pistol, and we all fucking did it because that's what boys do. Every one of us on this podcast has bitten a bologna sandwich, a peanut butter sandwich, a Pop-Tart, something that originally started square, turned into a pistol at some point, and none of us shot up our schools and none of us got kicked out. And this is coming from somebody who went to school and actually left shortly before two people I went to elementary school actually got into a gun altercation in school. But
Well, shit, when we used to go to school, you'd park your truck in the parking lot and everybody had rifles in the back.
Yep.
Gordon and I grew up in Kentucky. Our dad at Boone County High School, they had rifle classes.
I actually had when I was in ROTC in high school in Grove City, we had a rifle class. Believe it or not, and it was the NRA standards, and we sat there in the auditorium
Mm-hmm.
and learned the right way to hold a gun and go prone and this and that. And I mean, there was nothing live with it, but the fact that they were there.
The system started squeezing that out by the time I got to middle school, because when I was in middle school, the boys weren't allowed, but the girls' gym class still did archery. We weren't allowed nowhere near that shit. They already realized the boys, they done fucked it up. The girls can still do archery. The boys, they don't get any weapons of any sort.
We're going to be playing William Tell over there. And
Yeah, so that had already been erased, and they still let the girls do it, but I'm sure that's long gone too by now. I can't
Yeah, well,
imagine.
same with auto shop and home economics, all the good core life skills.
I went to tech school. We had auto shop. They had auto mechanics. Auto body, auto mechanics, machining, welding. I was in graphic arts, which ended up being a waste because everything went digital as soon as I graduated. They had everything like that.
Me
and
too.
I actually did well. I think tech schools is something they need to bring back in force.
I took 8 semesters of wood shop. By the time I was a senior in high school, the teacher was letting me install subwoofers and amplifiers in people's cars in the back parking lot right outside his door because I'd already done all the wood shop project. All that shit that I learned, from using the table saws, the band saws, the routers. Yeah, back before routers meant internet device. Sanders, all the files. Hey, he said master file. All, planers and all that stuff. That actually all came in handy 2 years after I got out of high school, and I was building ambulances for a living. I did the wiring up for years. I did the electrician work for years. So all the years I'd spent installing amplifiers and subwoofers kind of, gave me a foot up over somebody who's never worked with electricity. And then after I got burnt out on that, I went to the installer side, putting in the floors and the walls and the headliners, using table saws and band saws and all that shit all day. And so having 8 semesters worth of experience with that stuff kind of got me flown into that quicker than someone who came in who you got to get over that initial fear of the table saw and the kickbacks and knowing how to, it takes a lot of skill to run a quarter-inch, actually smaller than a quarter-inch piece of plywood through a table saw without it bending all by yourself. You have to do all that shit by yourself, and that's all skills that I learned in wood shop, and all that stuff's gone. I know Mike Rowe's trying to turn that all around.
Yeah, well, and also, I also believe that that's part of what's to blame for a complete lost generation of children who just want everything handed to them. They've never had any type of experience to know their worth in doing something. They're just entitled.
Well, and even when we were in school, we heard you got to go to college. If you don't go to college, nothing is going to matter. I'm here to tell you, I probably make more
College don't
money
matter.
than most college graduates I know, at least in my family.
Hey, to be
You know.
fair, you started going to college. You went to a couple
I did,
community
but I
colleges.
ultimately chose an apprenticeship
Yep.
program through electrical, and that's
Absolutely.
opened doors, man. It's opened a ton of doors.
I had a thought,
What's
but I
in there?
lost it. It was right off of what Adam was saying about.
Well,
Check
my
that, Matt.
original,
It may have it.
Go ahead.
my original welding certs came from the Pipe Fitters 525 out of Las Vegas. So technically, because that was my fallback plan.
Mhm.
While I was also running my business at night, I worked during the day for the 525. I came out as a journeyman, and if anything ever happened, I could still go back and I could be a lazy fucking welder for the Pipe Fitters Union.
And you'll get a nice pension.
That's
Exactly.
That's what it was. Either Adam, Gordon, one of you were saying, but kids don't understand the value of things, or because they don't work for it, they don't, they have a harder time. I think a bigger part of that is digital currency. I think the fact that, I want some Xbox stuff. I want Call of Duty skins. Let me whip out this little green business card that has some numbers on the back. I type it in, and boom, they're there. I want to sell this baseball card to my buddy. He's going to open up his Cash App and type some numbers in there, and then I give him this baseball card. Whereas when we wanted something, we had to go out and mow your lawns and get some quarters, dig through the couches, find quarters and nickels, and count pennies, and look for the dollar bills, and go through the dryer, hoping it to, and go to the Coinstar. And even when you got your check, you had to go cash your check and then put it in the bank and then withdraw enough cash to have on you and all that. And now that everything's just digital and instant gratification, I think also has really hurt a lot of stuff. And I was real bad. I remember when eBay first started. Oh, you can buy that on eBay, but I want it now. I don't want to wait 2 weeks to get that. If I can buy it locally, I'll buy it locally. But then Amazon changed, and now, I can have it tomorrow. And I don't have to go to the bank. I can just put in these magic numbers. And I think instant gratification in digital currency has hurt a lot of what we're seeing with, especially with kids. They don't know.
Then again, my question to you is, how many times have you done that without physically putting your hand on the product?
I'm sorry,
and regret it?
your signal's breaking up. What was that?
Sorry, it's because I pulled my earphone out.
Okay.
I was trying to say, how many times have you done that without physically putting your hands on it in the store and regretted that purchase?
Especially clothes. Being
Oh,
6'5".
Jesus Christ. It's hard enough in a store, much less ordering it online.
Yeah.
Right.
Clothes are rough, especially in the t-shirt game, because there's so many different quality materials, and you get that cheap t-shirt, you got the extra large, You wear it once, it fits. You wash it once, and now it's a medium and a half. It's like, well, that was a waste of $20.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I held that fishing rod in my hand, and I'm regretting it. Whereas my casting came off Amazon, so I don't know. Sometimes,
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, that's like kind of saying that it's not the shooter, it's the rifle.
oh, I said that
fine.
I've said on my YouTube. I said I know it's a shitty
That's
tradesman.
a bad load
it's
in
a-
that round. Is
It's a
what it
shitty
was.
tradesman who blames his tools, but when the tool doesn't even get on the plywood, it's like, come on.
Well, it could also be like it might not just be jinxed. It might be the combo you have set up too, because some reels just don't work well on certain rods.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's frustrating when you have two kayaks within 30 yards fishing the same bait, the same line, same reel, and she's just pulling them in, and I'm like, oh, come on, not even getting a bite, come on. Well, I'm sure things will turn around. It's like, come on, it's fucking. The factor's a big 13. I'm gonna make that 13 into an 8. I don't know that 3 into an 8. But it's just
That was like I drove. What was it? I drove. It was like 7.5 hours down to Branson, Missouri, down to Table Rock Lake. Beautiful day. Weather was perfect. Everybody around me was catching fish. I didn't even get a nibble. I
Well-
wasted more bait by getting tagged than it.
That's because you made the biggest mistake of somebody who lives in the Ozarks. You smited the Osmonds. You went to fucking Branson and didn't even bother to swing in and see Donnie and Marie's show. You just went fishing. You went right through Branson, Missouri, the flyover states version of Nevada or Reno. You can't just go through Branson and not catch a Donnie Osmond show. Of course you didn't catch a damn thing. You gotta stop and pay
Yeah.
tribute to the Osmonds, man. They need their beaks wet. They gotta keep that money train rolling. And there's plenty of
True.
other entertainments in Branson. That's where you
Have
go.
you ever, the similar thing coming from Missouri? Have you ever heard of a town called Uranus, Missouri?
Nope.
You'll have to Google it after we're done. So it's about an hour outside of St. Louis. And literally, like, the whole town is based off of the name Uranus. Their main source of income is the fudge factory.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yep, I've seen those
Yeah.
videos. Well, we got that beat in that same area we're talking about the cabin earlier. That was in Big Bone, Kentucky. Right around
Uranus Fudge Factory and General Store.
and right around Beaver Lick was a store that my mom worked at. So we had Beaver Lick inside of Big Bone. So,
Well, yeah, right next to each other. It's like somebody did the big 69 right through there.
yep. But yeah, so I did that, and then I want to go fishing tonight, but that fell through. So I went to the gym, and it's super busy. It's so damn busy right now. I don't know if it's because it's the new
That's
gym.
what we like to call a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I guess.
You know, when you do your lives with that,
Ow!
like
Really?
like you should make a video before it, like announcing it, and you should do like a first person fisherman type of deal, where instead of like you picking what you fish with, just your viewers get to pick with it. That way, if you have a bad day, you can't blame it on you.
Yeah.
You can blame it on the viewers.
Well, it's funny you say that because Carrie had me carry a third pole around with her because dudes are real bad with women. She gets all the viewers be like, throw a frog, throw a swivel bait, So she actually brought a third rod that already had a swim bait on it, and she bought some frogs just so she could shut people up because she's like, if I switch my bait constantly, I'm never going to get anything done. But she actually brought a third rod just so it had a swim bait on it, just so when people start trying to throw a swim bait, she had one ready to go. But it's dudes are weird, man. They'll like test her. What kind of knot are you using to make sure she knows that she, she actually is out there fishing. And so, but yeah, she deals with that. But no, that is a smart idea. I need to do that. I'll put one up a few hours. I got that new bait I ordered off of Sasquatch Custom Lures. I got that one. That's a nice lipless crankbait. He did a damn good job airbrushing that and doing all by hand. But no, that is a good idea. I need to start doing that because I do get quite a bit of traffic on those live streams. I know people who are living in states right now where they open the guided door and it's not -5, and even when I'm not catching shit, they like to look at the palm trees and all that. One thing I thought about doing, I don't know if it'll work. I have a sneaking suspicion I might make it work. I was thinking about if I can. Well, the downside is it would be less YouTube content, but maybe I'll try it once. If I can connect my GoPro to my phone and get the TikTok live to use that as the camera source, then you guys will actually get the view of what I'm looking at, kind of like my YouTube audience does, instead of just a static phone sitting in my cup carrier.
True.
And so I'm going to see if I can connect I know I can connect my phone to my GoPro, but I don't know if TikTok is advanced enough to let you choose which video source you want to use. I'm sure there's probably third-party apps that make all that work, but then you're bloating your phone down. But that would be kind of cool.
So what I used to do to actually do exactly what you're talking about, I'd use one of my old phones.
Yep.
And I would use my hotspot.
I got you.
I would use live and film the live from the camera on top of the head, which was my phone. And then I would be able to read the comment from the useless phone that was just watching live.
That makes sense. Yeah. You would just have to turn down the volume on the second phone so you don't get the old guitar feedback.
Yeah. But on a lighter note, I wasn't going to announce any of this even on TikTok for probably another 2 months.
You're transitioning?
Yes, very much so. So
Brave man.
I acquired all the rights, everything. My business license is complete for Misfit Bait and Tackle.
Nice.
As I told you, like I make soft baits, stuff like that. I'm actually going to start selling it majorly online, and I'll ship you one of my lures that I've never seen it. I've never posted about it. It's like a mix between, I call it a jitterbug. It's a mix between a jitterbug and a whopper plopper.
Okay.
So you know the section jitterbug that swim like in that shape?
Yep.
So basically, like the front half is the same as the jitterbug, but the back half that pivots is essentially a whopper plopper. So not only are the fish not just relying on sight to see it, they hear the
that sound.
Well,
Yep.
I've been practicing, and I've gone through 3 different versions of it, and the one I have now, part of what I'm going to use tomorrow, is my final product. I'm actually pretty happy with it.
Fantastic. Yeah, definitely. I'll have you send one my way. Now, I know you and I were talking yesterday, and you were going to jot down. I just want to make sure we cover your list of shit. If you have any other topics you want to bring up before we get into the news.
No. That we pretty much covered everything that I was going to talk a lot of shit on Russia, because besides the fact that there are horrible things happening all over social media, that they're making Russia look stupid.
Oh, absolutely. And Anonymous is attacking them too.
That's fantastic. Germany finally came off some weapons. They're kind of getting support, but they're only getting as much support as we can give them without truly risking fucking Doctor Who situation.
True.
Yeah.
But also, like, I believe like this guy that they're calling the ghost of Kiev or whoever, who shot down like 13 planes in 24 hours.
Someone said he got shot. Some people saying he doesn't exist, and then someone said he got shot down, but he survived. So I don't know. You want to say, well, I hope he exists, but it turns out that the Snake Island story wasn't completely true. It happened, but people didn't die, which is a better thing. I'm glad that the 14 people didn't die. Just hopefully Russia treats them appropriately and follows the Geneva Convention and returns them after this whole thing's fucking over. I did see a video. Didn't see the intro to it. I don't know if it's one of these Russian soldiers who gave up or if he was taken prisoner, but he's basically saying that they're like, well, how did this whole thing come to be? And he said, how Putin keeps calling it their military exercise. Well, that's what he was telling his soldiers. They had no idea that they were going to be live firing on Ukraine. They thought they were out just doing advanced military training, and that's why you're seeing some of these younger cats, especially people who have family over there. They're like, this wasn't what we were down for. And then I'm seeing video. It could be doctor, but I believe it because it looks legitimate. They're showing a Russian soldier cracking open to his case of K rations or their equivalent, and he's showing the expiration date. Putin's sending his guys food that expired 7 years ago. So now these guys not have fuel, and kind of like how Patton overran his fuel line. These guys overran their fuel line. It's taking longer than they thought. So they got this 40-mile caravan that's at a screeching halt until they can get everybody refueled. And then their troops are basically sleeping outside for 5 months now because they've been there a lot longer than this battle's been going on. And now they're like being forced to eat food stores and K rations that are 7 years old. It's like,
that's ridiculous.
Well, that's good news for us because all that sort of stuff hurts their morale. And it's like, well, I can continue being out here, or I can just give up and maybe go on that side and find some food, maybe fight against this government that I don't agree with, that I got inscripted into serving.
Yeah, well, and even like not just this concept, like thinking of it logically, and it's been passed around like before all this and everything else. Like realistically, if every soldier in any army just decided not to fight, there'd be no fucking because
Yeah.
all they're doing is fighting for a specific group of people. That's it.
Yep.
Well, did you hear the most recent answer why they've attacked Ukraine?
Well,
No.
we know it was a peacekeeping mission at the beginning. Then we know they're fighting the Ukrainian neo-Nazis. And now what's the new...
That the Ukraine has the ability to make nuclear weapons. So they just keep making it worse.
I was going to say, they already gave
they've
all their
got
nuclear
old,
weapons away.
old Soviet era technology where they could make nuclear weapons. I just saw it on the news. It was
But they
insane.
haven't, and they already gave you all their nuclear weapons because you agreed never to invade them, and here we are. So, it's like, which way do you want to go with this?
Insane. So, we were talking about the funny town names earlier, and I looked up Beaver Lick, Kentucky, and there's a picture that pops up. It says Beaver Lick Pizza Parlor. This is out of Kentucky. It tastes just like your mama's. I don't know if it's I can't find the real pizza parlor, but it'd be funny if it's a shirt because I think that would be your next one, Don.
Yeah, I already have my
Rabbit hash.
Rabbit Hash shirt. So a few days ago, I think on Tuesday, I don't know, this Ukrainian stuff's been going so fast. It was a couple days ago. Somebody I follow, not a bot, but a legitimate person on Instagram, posted this picture of like 50, I don't know, Ukrainians from probably 14 years ago, and they had the Ukrainian flag and had some SS logos and some Nazi propaganda bullshit. And his caption was, "Well, all you Americans crying over Ukraine, you're supporting this." To which I replied I typed out the same thing I did my TikTok video on. I said, well, that's 50 assholes. If 50 assholes is justification to invade a country, then every country on this planet's going to be justifiably invadable because we all have more than 50 assholes, right? And he came back with, so Ukraine has been fighting Russian separatists since 2014? I said, yeah, Ukraine has been fighting Russian separatists in a proxy war that the Russian army has been financing on Ukrainian land since 2014, but I still don't know how that leap gets made to neo-Nazis. And, of course, no reply. So,
Oh, and that's what's crazy, especially when the president of Ukraine is of
Jewish?
descent. Yeah. It makes no sense. It just.
I'm not saying there's no neo-Nazis in Ukraine, but there's, once again, you have
They don't
50.
count.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
the few hundred we have here in the United States, they don't fucking count. There's definitely not enough justification to invade an entire country. Like, the bad thing is when you don't see the original footage released and they talk about it, but then they play it ad nauseum in the background while they're talking to people on the streets, like on Fox News. You'll see these video clips. And I didn't see the original release, so I don't have the context, but it just looks like, I don't know if this is footage from when the Ukrainians shot the other convoy and blew all those trucks up, or if this is footage of just Russia fucking mortar striking, I want to say Kiev, but I've learned today that Kiev is the Russian pronouncement of it, and so you got to call it Kyiv to do the Ukrainian version so that you're not sliding it. But it just looks like nonstop mortar attacks just coming down on the city just because. And it's like, holy shit, these guys are just, at the point now, they're just artillery bombing parts of the city. It's fucking nuts.
Well, they actually, it's now being said that they're using
Vacuum bombs.
Yeah, vacuum bombs and the other ones that set the air on fire.
That was an acronym. I've seen the MOABs. We have the mother of all bombs, but they said Russia dropped a FOAB, which I guess stands for father of all bombs. But I haven't seen any reports of follow-up
Reuters
reports
is
of that.
coming in saying that Russia used cluster. Ukraine rights groups say Russia used cluster and vacuum bombs, and some of it's actually ended up killing civilians and thermobaric weapons.
From what I understand, the whole quote-unquote Geneva Convention safe use of a vacuum bomb, at least the way they're describing the news, is usually we all have an agreement not to use these on population centers because, well, they're fucking horrible weapons. But allegedly, the ideal use for them is if you're like let's say it's another Vietnam situation, right? And you need to clear a giant swath of land so you can land helicopters and logistics. That's where these bombs are supposed to be used, because they literally just knock fucking trees down and just clear a wide, vast land like that. And so everybody apparently has them, but we're all supposed to be under the agreement, which we all know how good Russia are with agreements, that you're not supposed to be using them on population centers. And apparently they got pretty damn close to a population center with one.
Well, evidently, Russia State News accidentally publishes articles saying Russia has defeated Ukraine and restored its historical borders.
That doesn't surprise me. We talk on the What's the Scuttlebutt all the
Accidentally on
time.
purpose.
You know, one of the things that we got lucky in World War II was not only did German and Japanese news sources lie to their people, but they lied to the army as well, because in Germany's case, people are so fucking afraid of Hitler killing them for not doing their jobs. They fudged their numbers and they lied. And on the Japanese side, their army and their navy didn't get along. The fucking Navy had no idea the Army had no idea the Navy built Henderson Field on Guadalcanal until the Marines getting ready to raid it, and that's when they went over there to back it up. But all that came in such luck for us because that lack of communication, the incorrect reporting of ships sunk and battle numbers, it truly does help the other side. So, you know, Russian lying to their people, and I'm sure lying to their troops, it'll all come out in the wash and help Ukraine a little bit. I don't know how much help they truly have. You know, it's so heartbreaking when you see the newscasters being honest, saying, look, they're holding them out, they're doing a good fight, but once Russia decides to use the entire might of their army, these guys are essentially fucked. But it's the truth of the matter. But hopefully something happens where they don't use the entire might of their military, and Ukraine can hold out until then. I don't know. It just sucks.
If they keep having their logistics problems with running out of fuel and that's a huge help.
Running out of fuel, people don't realize that GPS on your phone is provided by the United States military, so Russia don't have that. They have their own equivalent. And then
let's not forget also with that process is the fact that in Ukraine the street workers have basically
taking
changed
down
the signs.
Yep,
they're taking signs is basically saying go fuck yourself this way, and then the other version of go fuck yourself that way. You know, it's pretty funny.
They're relying on a lot of the old school technology. I'm sure a lot of it's slow and it'll slow things down, but I'm sure that the Ukrainian military probably have to rely on old runners and analog communication, because I'm sure anything they try to broadcast digitally will be intercepted by the Russians.
And then how do we get all our weapons to them? You know, what do you
do?
Poland. Through Poland, but still.
What you do is you drive that truck.
That's a long way from Kyiv, you know.
Well,
it's just as far away as the other border.
And it may be.
No, Kyiv's real close to Belarus. That's the problem. It's like 60 miles away.
Yeah, but you may lose the city, but if you can hold on to the rest of the country, I mean, you may have to fall back to the Alamo, if you will, as long as Kyiv's no longer the Alamo. But if you slowly start moving your government officials back closer to Poland, and that's where the rear and the gear is, you just got to kind of calibrate. You know, I understand wanting to stay in the capital for optics, but at some point you got to think militarily, like, well, instead of having all our people here getting ready to be arrested, we need to move back a little bit and put up the fight somewhere else. And if
but not only that. Oh, sorry.
No,
not
go
only
ahead.
that, it would actually be beneficial to push everything through Poland, because if Belarus does decide to have the balls to attack, that brings people to their aid automatically anyways.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, too. Putin's like, oh, well, if anybody gets involved, I'm going nuclear. Well, things aren't going the way I planned, so I'm going to try to get Belarus, which is a puppet government that I run anyhow. Well, technically, that's still you bringing in a third party, so
well, and they
at
invaded
that point,
out of there.
Yeah, I know.
What they tried to get Kazakhstan. They told them no.
No.
They tried to get it's that small country, not Crimea, that's part of it, but there's another country they tried to get, and then they tried to get Belarus, and they seem like they're backing down. And it sounds like China's kind of changing their stance on Russia's invasion right now. It's going in a positive direction, and now there's at least 3 members in Russia's parliament has spoken out against this invasion.
Did you see the UN today when the Russian delegate stood up to give a speech? Everybody just fucking walked out on him?
Yep, and that is a beautiful thing. That's the shit that needs to keep going on.
Well, the thing with China is China, despite what we believe, China's economy is not doing that well, but even before this thing happened, and they're kind of using Russia as their backup plan, but now they're seeing their backup plan losing access to the financial banking system, and they're going back to investing in gold. Everybody's going to start boycotting their oil. It's like, well, shit. We putting all our, we're attaching our wagon to this horse, but this horse is starting to get lame. Maybe we need to start looking in some other stables and not putting all of our money into this bad bag.
So you think this Ghost of Kiev is legit, or you think it's a good story to up morale?
I hope it's legit, but I have seen people claiming that it's made up. I guess we won't know until we know.
But I mean, at the same time, like either way, it could be fake media or it could be people trying to debunk it, make it seem like it is. But I mean, at the rate that Russia's been fucking up, I honestly would rather believe that somebody shot down 12 or 13 planes in 24 hours than not.
Then hope
Exactly, and if anything, they need it for that morale boost, right?
Well, then you got the Ukrainian Marine who was the demolition expert. You hear that one yet?
Oh, the guy who basically threw himself on his own petard and took out a bridge?
Yeah, he was basically wiring up a bridge to slow down the advance over the river. And this wasn't just some, 2-lane thoroughfare. It was a big fucking bridge. And allegedly, the story goes, is he was trying to huff it back across the bridge and realized that if he waited until he got to safety, it'd be too late. And so he gave the order and allegedly blew up with the bridge. So we'll see. But, the will to fight and the reason to fight, it'll get you. I mean, look at the Battle of the Bulge, World War II. Americans surrounded on all sides by the Nazis, and they held out until cavalry arrived. Now, obviously, they had cavalry that's willing to arrive, but they had that will to fight, and they were definitely outnumbered, and outgunned. They didn't have winter clothing and low on ammunition, but through proper leadership and the determination to fight, they held out as long as they could. And luckily for them, well, the airborne will tell you they didn't need the armor to help, but the armor finally came and helped them out. And I'll tell you what, if Ukraine can continue these numbers of losing 130 dead and wounded to 3,000 Russians, that's a pretty good margin. I mean, war sucks. You don't want people dying, but I would rather Ukraine lose 130 dead and wounded to 3,000 instead of Russia losing 130 to 3,000 Ukrainians.
Yeah, and I'd also like to see more Russians just saying, "What the fuck, we're done," and walking away from it, and basically just going in as prisoners. Did you hear the Ukrainian representative in UN read the text from the smartphone that they found on a dead Russian soldier?
Yeah, but I was so caught off by the headlines because you sent that to me. But the way the headline was written, it made it sound like Ukrainian ambassador reads text message before soldier kills him or something like that, or before death or whatever. So you read the headline, you're like, holy shit, they killed a Ukrainian ambassador, made him read a hostage letter. But no, it was him reading the text from the Russian soldier. But I didn't finish the whole video.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. He basically is the Russian soldier was texting his mom saying, "I don't know why we're here.
Oh yeah.
This is absolutely horrible," and unfortunately, the kid lost his life. I think the worst part is how much the Russian government is lying to their own soldiers right now. It's insane. That's what's going to create their problem from within.
I don't want to step out on a rock here and catch people off guard, but that is a communist country. They're not exactly honest with their people.
Joining us now from the Digital 410 West News Desk in Las Vegas, Nevada, Gordon Abernathy.
Gordon, how are you doing tonight?
And now, breaking news.
What is the drink or the beverage that you wish we were never introduced to as children?
Mountain Dew.
Correct.
Moist.
Well, you better start looking around there in Florida. Alcoholic Mountain Dew goes on sale in select states.
I'm good. I got my Miller Lite. That's all I need.
Popular soda beverage Mountain Dew is returning to its roots by being mixed with alcohol. The PepsiCo-owned brand was originally created in 1940 as a mixer for alcoholic beverages, probably the world's sweetest snake bite.
Mm-hmm.
Now PepsiCo is rolling out a new line of hard beverages. Hard Mountain Dew, according to the Boston Beer Company.
So it's going to be the Mountain Dew equivalent of White Claw.
Nah, because it's gonna have too much sugar in it. White Claw is spicy water, or just basically a carbonated water with a little alcohol in it. But they've teamed up with the Boston Beer Company, which is partnering to help create the drink. Beginning February the 24th, that day has since passed. The drink will be sold in 4 flavors in Florida, Tennessee, and Iowa, with plans to expand to more states through 2022. Here are the hard Mountain Dew flavors: Original Mountain Dew, Baja Blast,
Ugh.
Black Cherry Mountain Dew,
Ugh.
and the worst, God, watermelon, really?
Did Mountain Dew truly need to have a new flavor?
No.
There's something wrong
It's
with
already crack enough.
I mean,
So,
I understand Taco Bell wanted to expand their variety because it still amazes me that Taco Bell's Mountain Dew never tastes like Mountain Dew, but they all taste the same. They never taste like Mountain Dew, but they all taste the same. They all have the same consistency of fuckery about.
Pawn Stars. We've all watched Pawn Stars.
Another show the Discovery Channel producers destroyed single-handedly.
Well, the mother of Pawn Stars celebrity decides to sue over assets and ownership of the Las Vegas business.
So did he get divorced?
No, pay attention. The mother of the Pawn Stars celebrity sues over assets and ownership of Las Vegas business. Pawn Star celebrity Rick Harrison is being sued by his mother
Because his dad died.
in a dispute over family assets and ownership of the Las Vegas business featured in the long-running reality TV show, as we all know. And this is according to court records. The civil lawsuit was filed Thursday in the Nevada State Court by attorneys for Harrison's mother, Joanne Harrison, according to the RJ. It names Rick Harrison, the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, businesses and entities Harrison Properties, Joe Rich Properties, and others as defendants. According to Rick Harrison, the allegations are false, and I think my 81-year-old mother is being manipulated by others for their personal gain. Now, lawyers, is Glenn Lerner involved? Don doesn't know what Glenn Lerner is probably, although he lives in Florida too.
No, we got For the People.
Oh no, Glenn Lerner is a whole different character. He looks like Saul Goodman, but muscular.
I can sing the theme song.
Well, now it's Lerner and Rowe because he's, from what I understand, he can't practice in Nevada by himself. Anyway, the breach of contract complaint says Joanne Harrison was married for 58 years to the late Richard Harrison, who, as we all know, is the old man. It alleges that while she was hospitalized in, get this here, 2000 or 2001, which is way before the show.
So when she was 70.
But before the show, Rick Harrison, one of the couple's 3 sons, had her sign over to him her 51% ownership and interest to the pawn shop. Flash forward to 2009 when the business became a setting for the History Channel show that also featured grandson Richard Corey Harrison and family friend Austin Chumley Russell, who seems to have been busted for meth a few times.
And her husband.
The lawsuit basically says that when Richard Harrison died in 2018, Joanne Harrison inherited his 49% share because Rick already absconded with the, allegedly, 51% back in 2000 or 2001. But Rick Harrison has failed to provide her with complete documentation of its finances.
Whoops.
Joanne Harrison, well, it is pawn shop owner, so Joanne Harrison alleges that she has been unable to get the proper accounting of more than $500K worth of cash and silver that she believes her husband accumulated before his death. The lawsuit seeks unspecified damages and accounting of assets, a court order banning Rick Harrison from using funds belonging to Joanne Harrison, and a constructive trust over property that belongs to her. So needless to say, things that you
It'd
can
be
always see
interesting to be a
coming.
fly in that house because, kind of like he was
This is
saying.
why you don't do family business with family.
Well, it's kind of like he was saying. Is somebody getting in her ear? Because you think, okay, she's what, 81?
Some lawyer.
She's already got 49% from her husband. I'm sure she has bankrolled enough money to live another 80 years and still leave some to her family and all that. So it's like you're going to spend the next 9 years of your life battling with your family, making some lawyers rich over what?
Yeah, because there'll be nothing left.
Over
Once you pay the law fees, there'll be nothing left.
yeah.
It's insane. One final story. Remember the story of Hank the Tank?
Yep.
Well, evidently it's a bear battalion. Hank the Tank turns out to be 3 separate bears.
Hey, boo boo.
South Lake Tahoe, California. Hank the Tank is actually 3 bears. According to DNA evidence, now this shows that the 500-pound black bear and the publicly has nicknamed Hank the Tank is in fact at least 3 not-so-little bears who have damaged more than 30 properties around the Lake Tahoe area. The State Department of Fish and Wildlife on Thursday said it will soon begin trapping bears in the South Lake Tahoe area to tag the animals in order to collect evidence for more genetic analysis.
Now that is the public post statement of what happened using DNA. Here's what truly happened. Someone went out and shot Frank the Tank, cleaned
Hank
him
the
up,
Tank.
and put him away. And 2 days later, there's another report of Hank the Tank destroying property, into which someone said, "Huh, Steve, I thought you took care of that problem." I did. He's still in the back of my truck. Well, shit.
Well, evidently these bears have been responsible for more than 150 incidences
Yeah.
in the area. So it's kind of interesting. I did see somebody take a California flag and make it a fat bear and just called it Hank the Tank. But you're going to do what you're going to do. It's Sleepy Mountain Town, so they'll have fun with that. But that is all I got for the news this evening.
I appreciate everybody hanging out with us for another episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. And like always, if you want to support the show, please head over to what'sinyourhead.com or d-410.com. Click on that Patreon link. Please like, subscribe, and then it's $1 a month if you kind of like us. If you really like us, we got a $3.50 a month plan. And if you fucking love us, we got a $7.50 a month plan. And after month 2, I will send you a free t-shirt from our store of your liking. And we did hit our 1,000 subscribers. We're like 1,080 now on YouTube. Woo! But here's what I need you guys to do. We're going to do a little guerrilla finagling of our numbers. I need you guys to go to our YouTube channel on a device that you're not maybe currently using and just click a playlist and let it run for a few hours, because we got the 1,000, but I need a couple of hours of view times before they'll finally monetize us and we can start getting some coins off the ads that they're running on our fishing videos and all that good stuff.
Here's your check for $1.
Hey, $1's $1. I'll take it. But
Hey, I got 2 cell phones. I'll help you tonight.
there you go. And Gordon does have a video up there. We posted one when he was showing you how to stiffen up your couch. And I just posted one today that's not a fishing video. It's actually me getting my ass kicked in that virtual race. I do have, while I was talking about my bad day of fishing, I decided to put it out there. I'm going to share the 2 days of my bad fishing so you guys can laugh. Complete with the day Carrie caught her 13 fish on her new rod was the day I finally convinced her to put a GoPro on her boat. So I have footage of her laughing and snickering all her way to the fish heavens while I'm in the background bitching and cussing. So you guys can enjoy my bad day of fishing and see how...
That may be your most viewed video.
Hey, I'll take it. No, actually, my most viewed video is my TikTok video that I did with the Turkish wedding dance and me saying when I post a Pro 2.8 TikTok and then all the gun supporters coming to my defense. That thing has like 100,000 views on YouTube, but YouTube doesn't count short video watch towards your watch time, which sucks because like the last 400 subscribers we got were from YouTube short videos, and so that doesn't count towards your watch time. So the 100,000 views on that video. The other video that's a legit video I posted 4 or 5 years ago. There's 2 of them. One of them's funny as hell. One of the things that annoyed me the most about working at a tech shop is people bring me the laptop cords in, all just wrapped up like this. And so I did a quick video where I literally said, here's how you wrap your cord up. You go halfway, 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 and then I took the Velcro and I did it nice and neat. It's a 30-second video. That thing has like 50,000 views. Slow down. I can't see how to do it. Really? You really need a slow step-by-step
I
tutorial?
got an idea. You stop the video and you start it over.
Well, yeah. And then the other one I got, somehow I inadvertently became the go-to guy for scratch-off cards on YouTube. About 5 years ago, Microsoft Office no longer sells CDs. So when you buy that box, it just has a business card with a download URL and a code. Well, I hastily scratched the cover off with a coin, and I scratched the key code away. I'm like, motherfucker.
This is a guy who's not done a lot of scratchers in his life.
And so on my cell phone, I have the activation key code for Microsoft Office products because I've been activating them for the last 14 years. So I called that number. And when the automated guy came on, I said, hey, I accidentally scratched off my code, but there is a serial number. I was able to give him the serial number. He was able to provide me the key code and fix the problem. So I quickly put up a YouTube video. Hey, if this happens to you, call this number, give them the serial number. They can give you the key code. Somehow, for the last 5 years, hey, I did that with my Roblox card. I did that with my Apple card. How do I get this with my... so now anybody who does that with any sort of gift card, PlayStation card, you go on there and there's like a whole community of like young kids and moms who've had this
I
problem.
think that you've done this with every form of this type of deal out there. Huh?
Yeah, somehow I'm the go-to guy. And when it first started happening, I would quickly Google, Apple gift card tech support, and I would post a phone number. But at that point now, I was like, read through the comments. We covered this about 8 months ago. But it's like I go on there daily, and people are still this damn video. Let me pull up my YouTube stats. And then the half-ass review I did on the pressure washers, one of our big ones.
Will you quit biting me?
Real quick
Seriously.
before we wrap it up here, let me just tell you. Let's see.
Don may be the last person in America with a coof. He's all snuffling and coughing over there.
I think I might be a long hauler. Let's see here.
My question is, did you sound the same when you weren't catching fish?
What's that?
I said, my question is, did you sound the same when you weren't catching fish?
Yeah, his phone keeps breaking up.
Did you sound the same when you weren't catching fish? Were you coughing and snuffling and...
No. As of right now, what to do with a scratch-off key code? It's got 88,045 views.
Eh.
And over 388 comments. The last one, thanks for sharing me this, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, how do I do this with my Roblox card, my Google Play card? So somehow I've become the go-to guy for what to do when you scratch off videos.
Oh, figure it out.
And then my TikTok video of the... Oh, I lied to you guys.
Really? Will you quit biting me?
The stupid TikTok video I posted on YouTube of the dancing Turkish dance. 167,280 views, and I don't get credit towards my view count to get monetized. Because I would be there.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I'm going to start a YouTube channel like for descriptive of like the debates and stuff I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
So if I link that TikTok, when it gets the views on TikTok, does it count that on YouTube as well? Or is
No. What I do is when you upload your TikTok, just set your phone to save the video on your phone, and then launch your YouTube app, hit upload short, and upload it there. Because YouTube is trying to compete with TikTok, and so they're putting all their emphasis on short videos, which is why my
Why
short
would
video. Go ahead.
monetize it? Because a lot of those videos on the YouTube Shorts still have the TikTok logo.
But
So
but
why would they monetize that when it still kind of directs you to their competitor?
I'm not saying monetize the video, but if I got 147,000 people viewing my content, the view time should go towards my view hours because people are still watching it. They're still getting advertisements on there. That's 144,000 people watched video that wouldn't have watched it if I didn't upload it. So I'm not saying it pay me for the ads run on my shorts. I'm just saying I should get credit for the view time on my videos. Because people are viewing the video that's on your server that has your ads running in between them. So I should at least get credit for that view time. But anyhow, that's enough bitching about YouTube. Thanks, Adam, for hanging out with us once again. And thank you guys. Where can people... You have so many TikTok channels because they're constantly battling you for being mean. What is your current TikTok channel you want people to track you down at?
I'm under Social Outcast 83. There's only 2 accounts. It's Social Outcast 82 and 83.
And that is going to do it for this week, and we will talk to you all next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.